And with him, Alain Menu, and David Richards is with us as well. My goodness me. Oh, we have the full set. Well, David, I'm going to start with you, if I may. This is an unexpected surprise. How surprised are you that we are here 40 years after you started Prodrive?
Y97 Type R. This one here is V-Limited 187 of 1000 1997 World Rally Manufacturers Championship. This one here is another 97 with the rally vent. And this one's V-Limited number 56 of 1000. 2003 V-Limited. I think this is a Catalunya. Yeah, it is. Very rare. This Catalunya is number 72.
Had like gold wheels or something. Did have a yellow stripe?
have the sign for
And with him, Alain Menu, and David Richards is with us as well. My goodness me! Oh, we have the full set. Well, David, I'm going to start with you, if I may. This is an unexpected surprise. How surprised are you that we are here 40 years after you started Prodrive?
Well, it's no, to see the crowds here and see the welcome we get from Banbury and the support we get from the town is always wonderful. It's important to us to be part of the community here, and it's been a great base for us for 40 years.
David, in motorsports, 4 years is a long time. 40 years is an eternity. What do you put down the longevity and the continued success across those 4 decades to with the Prodrive brand?
Just great people, you know, great enthusiastic people who sort of still keep the business going. I'm sort of not as active as I used to be, but we've got some wonderful people in the organisation. People I met today have said, you know, I'm just finishing university, can I come and join you? Those are the people of the future, and they'll keep it driving it forward.
Rallying, of course, a major part of Prodrive in the early days. That's why it started. You just won the World Rally Championship and you were wanting to set up your own team. Phil Mills. Hello, Phil. I haven't seen you for about 1 million years, standing freezing on some final ramp of a rally somewhere. Tell me about the early days. How did you get dragged into this glorious family that is Prodrive?
That really is a very, very long story, and we haven't got time for that now. But yeah, we came along in late 2000, and we had 7 of the best years of certainly of my career with the team. And it was just nothing but pleasure the whole time. And we had probably the best team, the best guys, the best designers, the best everything. And it all came together really well, and we had some fantastic seasons there.
Now, we've got the boss standing in the middle of us, but how much is down to the personality, the drive, and the enthusiasm of this man?
Well, everything's driven from the top, and I think the results speak for themselves, whether it's racing or rallying. It's all driven from the top, and I think without this man here, it wouldn't have happened. It's as simple as that.
Alain Menu, I got a bit sick of playing the Swiss national anthem in British touring cars when I was doing talk radio down through the years. Happy memories?
Of you getting sick, you mean?
Yes, always. Yeah, always.
I missed that. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. No, great memories. It's you know, like the 90s British touring car was probably the best championship that I competed in, for sure. It was so competitive. There were so many good drivers from like pretty much all over the world. Great teams. I was talking with David Lappy was earlier. The only problem is that the budget got very expensive. Super touring. So at one point it had to stop because I don't think manufacturers could justify spending that much money. But the cars were great. You know, everything. I mean, it's my second home. You know, the UK. It is really. I was telling my sister not long ago. I'm 61 now, and I spent like 30 years in the UK. So. Yeah. You know, so
well, I remember saying to you when I was interviewing on podium after podium after podium that you had actually spent more time in the UK than you had in France when we were in those early years of super touring.
In Switzerland, you mean?
In Switzerland, sorry, excuse me, yes.
Careful.
My mother-in-law was Swiss. That's a very big mistake.
No, but exactly. No, but it's true. So yeah, you know, I mean, I love the BTCC. I really love the UK, and like you know, like working with Prodrive. David, you know, like Phil said, you know, it all comes from the top. And I was telling David yesterday, actually, we were at Silverstone together, and if there is one thing I learned over the years from David and from Frank Williams, it's like it's all down to the management, to the people at the top. and to employ the right people, and then trust those people to do the work. And David, especially with me anyway, he's always been like trusting and like true to his word. You know, everything David like promised me he would do, he did. So I've got like loads of respect for this man.
You must have had to have a word with one or other of these down through the years, though, David. Really,
there's always in competition. You always have moments of time where you disagree and you have sort of fallouts with people. But at the end of the day, you're all in it together, and you look back on those days. And I look back on the days with so many old racing drivers and that I've had in the team, and we've become great friends years later. I had Frank Sittner, who Alain remembers from the touring car days. He was staying with us last weekend, and he was champion '88, I think, a long time before you.
Yeah, I was a kid then. But you know, but we go back a long time, because my very first year in the British touring car was 1992 with BMW, and I was signed, although I was signed by BMW Motorsport, as a junior. They got me a drive with Prodrive, and Tim Sugden was my teammate. Unfortunately, I had an accident in the summer, so that was the end of that period. But then afterwards, we kept in touch with David, and you know, David was like calling me, I think 94, or even before, when we were talking about maybe getting a Mercedes in the BTCC, and then with the Alpha days as well. But I didn't feel it was right for me. I was quite happy where I was. But then it all came good for 99 and 2000. And when I say it came good, it was like really, really good.
Apart from our poor CD player that played the Swiss national anthem over and over and over again. David, those rallying years with Phil, of course, an integral part of it. Your original motorsport background was rallying. How proud were you then at that stage of what you were achieving in what was still quite a nascent company at Prodrive?
Yeah, we were sort of fighting well above our weight. You know, we were a little company here in Banbury in those days, and you know, when we moved to Banbury, we were 50 people, and we're now about 480 people in Banbury. And to be taking on the big factory teams, the Fords, the Toyotas, the Mitsubishis, and actually beating them was quite a challenge. But that all comes down to a great team of people.
Phil, what do you remember of the competitive side of things in those days? A bazillion memories that you must have, but yeah. Give us a little bit of an insight.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really was. There were 7 manufacturers involved then, you know, and I think you had probably 14 people on the start line that you couldn't choose a winner from. And it was immensely competitive, and it really was. You know, it was hard work, and you had to fight for every second, which you still do to this day. But when you had 14 or 15 people at the front and 7 manufacturers, it was a totally different place. So yeah, very competitive. Everything we did, testing and everything, was so important. You had to just find the edge on everything. Yeah.
I often talk to people who don't understand rallying and say, oh, I don't get it, there's no side-by-side racing. But in some ways I always think, and I've been fortunate to have had a foot in both camps, I often think that actually you're racing in rallying, you're competing against the clock. You're competing, that is the most difficult competitor of all.
It is, it's very difficult to explain. If you're on a racetrack, you can see the cars around you, but in rallying you're against the clock. Back then we had in-car information coming to us from the team and all sorts of things. That's all now banned. But yeah, you were racing against the clock, and it is a very weird thing to explain, really. You're out there on your own. You go to somewhere like New Zealand and doing a 60-mile stage. It's quite a lonely place, actually, and you don't realise what you're doing until you get to the end of the stage, and it's very difficult to explain.
You've got to remember now, Dakar Rally, though, that's a different thing altogether.
Yes.
You'll drive all day, 6 hours probably. You'll do, you know, 800 kilometers maybe in the day, and you will never see another competitor. You'll get to the end of the section and you'll find 3 of you within 10 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
That's because that's proper navigation. That's you are going point to point to point.
It is, and Dakar, like David just said, you know, there isn't a house or a human being or anything to look at. You know,
left at the post office. Can't say that.
It's a very special place, that, yeah. But, yep, rallying is against the clock, same as in Dakar and same as the WRC was then, you know. It's a very special, unique situation.
David, you've had success in Dakar with Prodrive recently, a couple of podiums. Not yet been on the top step of the podium. Does that rankle a little bit?
Yeah, it does. We've tried very, very hard. We've been on the podium last 3 years. First time out, we were on the podium, and we've got a great car at the moment. I'm going back to the factory this afternoon where they're building the third car at the moment, ready for testing this week. And I think we've got all the ingredients this year. We've got probably 3 best drivers in the world driving for us. We've got a great team of people and a new car for Dacia. And I think this has to be the year.
Well, we hope it is. You've worked with some fantastic manufacturers down through the years. What's it like working with Dacia, who are a relatively new manufacturer? They haven't got a lot of motorsport behind them. How have you found working with them? And in some ways, you're helping model their brand values. Yeah, actually, that's not unlike what Subaru was back in the day, is it?
That's what I was going to say. It's going back to like the Subaru days with a manufacturer as part of the Renault group, great products and a very strong identity around it, and they're so enthusiastic about the Dakar program, and so it's the great enthusiasm, support for the whole project.
Alan, I'm going to ask you a difficult question. Think back to all of the races that you ran for David and for Prodrive. Where do you, if I say Alan Menu, Prodrive, what's the first memory that comes into your head in terms of competition? What race, what car, what event? David shouting at you in his office over the desk, what is it?
No, he never shouted at me, not when I was there anyway. But no, obviously the first thing is like winning the championship in 2000 for sure, because it was tough, you know. I was fighting against Rickard Rydell and Anthony Reid, who obviously had exactly the same equipment that I had. But also the Honda was strong, the Vauxhall was strong as well. So you know, it's not like we had like the quickest car every time. On some tracks we did. But anyway, and it came down to the wire. The last race was Silverstone at night. I don't like racing at night. It's not my thing. For me, nighttime is to sleep, not to drive a racing car. But anyway, I had to do it, and it all came down to even the last few laps. So I was very, very emotional the last lap, the last half of the lap. I started crying in a car, which is never too good because then you can make a mistake. So it meant a lot. The championship meant a massive lot. So yeah, great memories.
You retired in 2017, effectively, from driving. Do you miss it?
Honestly, yes, I still do miss it a bit. Yes, not as much as I did the early years, but I decided when the last few years of my career were like not really good. People were calling me and to do one-off race here or there. So when you've not driven for 6 months and you have to jump in a car, you only get 1 free practice or maybe 2, and I expect myself to be competitive, and really you can't when it's like this. So I was getting frustrated, and I said, okay, now I need to stop, and I didn't renew my license. I didn't want. I thought, so if somebody calls me, I can just say, sorry, I can't do it. I don't have a license. And it was probably the best thing I did, to be honest. But I do miss the driving still from time to time, but not every day. So I'm getting over it.
I remember Alan doing a little bit of Porsche Carrera Cup GP as a guest car when he was at the height of his powers. Now that you're over 60, you're a bronze-rated driver. Do you know that? So you know, WEC would vote you as a bronze. GT driver.
I know because you know my best friend from school is a guy called Jean-Denis Deletraz, and his son Louis is one of the top drivers now in sport prototype. And not long ago, it was last year, Louis was telling me, he said, Anna, you know that now you're 60, you are a bronze driver. And I think if I went back to the gym, and I could still be quite competitive.
I'm sure.
But there is a big but, because like bronze drivers are expected to bring money, and I would still be expected to get paid. So so I've not done anything. So it's unlikely.
I was talking to the guys at Corvette, David, last time I was in the States, and people like Johnny O'Connell, Ron Fellows, Max Angelelli, they've all aged into bronze now. David Brabham's nearly a bronze, he's a bronze. Do you think we could rekindle the Corvette, Aston Martin, GT1 era with Masters drivers. How about that as an idea?
Go back to classic Le Mans and all, reenact the race.
Yes.
So, still with us winning, of course. But,
of course. It goes without saying. Of all the things that Prodrive have achieved, David, where does Le Mans stand? Where does the Rally Championship stand? So you're in Dakar now, you've done GT racing. Is it a bit like having me asking you to choose between your children as to which one you would say you like the best?
You've got the answer already, yes. It's that's my favourite response. It's like choosing which is your favourite child. You can't say that. And it's always the one that's around the corner, the one that's going to be next. So I'm just looking forward to January and Dakar Rally, and I don't know if anyone knows here in the town here, but whenever you see the Union Jack flying outside Prodrive for a week after an event we've won that weekend, so that's what we'll hopefully be doing in the middle of January.
And just as easy to see as you're coming up the M40 as well now. Phil, a final thought from you then. What happy memories will you take away from your time with Prodrive? And I know you're still very much involved with what's going on at Prodrive and keep an eye to it.
There's so many memories over 7 years. It was just so big, you know. But I remember the first big memory was going up the hill at the back of Ajaccio. At the hill at the back of Ajaccio on the 2001 Corsica, and we were winding our way up the stage, which was our first event with Prodrive, and I was thinking, okay, this is pretty big now. We're in the best team in the world, representing one of the biggest manufacturers in the world, and I thought this is quite serious business now. So that was a big memory, and obviously the wins that we had, and obviously the World Championship win that we had, that was very special. And winning in Japan, that was a really special moment for us and the team and the Japanese as well. So some milestones along the way, but yeah, we had a great time.
David, we'll give you the last word, as is absolutely appropriate. Your start in motorsport was as a rally crow driver, which meant you weren't really looking in the rear view mirror, always looking forward and checking the notes to see where you were going next. So 40 years behind us, what can we look forward to from Prodrive here at Banbury, and with the expansion to other things as well?
Well, we've got a very active Aston Martin race programme going on at the moment. There'll be cars racing all around the world today, built in Banbury, with our engineers looking after them. I think we're in Monza this weekend, if I remember correctly, in Italy. So we'll have teams down there and a lot of engineers there. There's a team out in Morocco at the moment preparing for Dakar, just getting ready for that in January. What else is going on out there? We're sort of working on new environmental projects. The Elm project around the corner there is electric, and that's one of the future things we'll be doing. And there's always something interesting going on down in that building on the M40.
Every time I come, there's something to look at. David, for everything you've done for the sport down through the years with Prodrive and what you've done for British Motorsport in terms of the organisation, thank you very much. I find it much easier to get my licence now. I've still got my FIAC. So thank you very much indeed for that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to watch some Aston Martins racing later on today, I'm going to dash back to the studio now because it's the 6 hours at Indianapolis for the IMSA Championship, and Heart of Racing are racing a couple of advantages in the pro class there. So that's on the IMSA YouTube feed, so you can watch that. It's absolutely free. Will you put your hands together, please, for Alain Menu, for Phil Mills, and the man who started it all 40 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, David Richards. Thank you, gentlemen. And they're going to have a little bit of a sit down and a little bit of an opportunity for some of you to grab some autographs. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. And please do stay with us for the rest of the afternoon. Now that it's fair up, it seems only right that you should hang around a little bit. We've got some great stands. Pop band colour, Ian's up there, creating as normal.